to the live stream. I wanted to come on today and talk about something that can be very dangerous, very annoying, and unfortunately is very common, and that's separation anxiety. I want to talk about why dogs get separation anxiety, what the heck separation anxiety is, what are the symptoms you should look for, and of course, what to do about it, how to treat it, and more importantly, honestly, is how to prevent it. It's so easy to prevent. Why wait for bad things to happen when they don't have to happen? So let's talk about some separation anxiety. Hello, everybody, for joining me. Hi. So first of all, those of you that don't know who I am, aren't familiar with me, who the heck is this crazy lady coming on my Facebook? My name is Cindy Scott. I am the founder and director of Dogs, Etc., holistic dog training for a fabulous dog. I have spent the past 30 years seeking out the easiest, simplest, most effective ways to transform your new puppy or your brand new rescue dog into truly your best friend. And I don't know, as I was saying that, my little Iggy came and he just laid his head on my lap. And, you know, this is what it's all about. And Rudy's over there. Those of you that aren't familiar with my dogs and their story, they both came from shelters and have had their share of trauma, health issues. So this is what it's all about. And not only for my dogs, but genuinely all of you, every single dog that makes it through the fire and is able to lay their head on your lap. So worth it. So let's talk about separation anxiety before I cry. What is separation anxiety? First of all, separation anxiety by definition is when hair, right? My crazy hair. It's by definition, it's probably poodle hair is what it is. By definition, when an individual becomes so stressed or anxious in the absence of another individual. Pure and simple, that's anxiety. So, and it doesn't have to be from a human. I've seen dogs get so stressed and anxious. Oh God, this hair is driving me crazy. With another dog in the family leaves. So if God forbid, you know, one of your dogs, I'm just gonna wind that screen. So one of your dogs has to go to the hospital or the groomer or separated from the other dog, sometimes they become very stressed and anxious in their absence. It can be they can be stressed in the absence of one family member or when they're left entirely alone. So there's a lot of variation with it. But symptoms that you want to look for, it can range anywhere from pacing, just not being able to settle. Subtle signs are also some lip licking. That's indicative of some anxiety. If you leave your dog a bone or a special treat and they don't eat it when you're gone, but when you come home, they gobble it up, that means that they're too anxious in your absence to even eat the treat. That happens a lot with in group classes, especially puppies coming to class or adult dogs, rescue dogs that have never been in class before they come. And sometimes they're too anxious in the class to even take a treat, even a really good treat. So not taking treats is very symptomatic of anxiety. It's separation anxiety or just being anxious in a new environment. Now gone unchecked or prolonged anxiety will escalate. The behaviors will escalate. So what may start out as whining or lip licking then develops to a more pronounced whining, crying, louder vocalizations, howling, barking incessantly. Other manifestations, of course, would be destruction, chewing, ripping apart things. And typically with separation anxiety, dogs will rip apart objects that the owner touches a lot. So it has their scent on it. So remote controls, eyeglasses, wallets, phones, cell phones, ripping apart the couch where you sit. Those things are shoes, socks, very indicative of it. And I've seen dogs where they'll rip apart the couch, or they'll shred like a wallet, and then they'll like curl up in it. So it's like wrapping the owner's scent around them or something. It's really sad. And again, that left unchecked or untreated can develop into even more destructive things. I've seen dogs eating drywall, ripping apart corridors because they're trying to get out to get to the owner. I've worked with a dog that before the owner called me, she actually threw herself out the window. Yeah, luckily she wasn't seriously hurt, but she could have been. And that's the danger of separation anxiety. Not only is it annoying that they're destroying all your stuff, and you're probably getting love letters from your neighbors, especially if you live in an apartment, the dog is barking the whole time, but it can be seriously dangerous for your dog. Many dogs have ended up in the emergency room because they've ingested something because they've been so anxious. Clothes, Labradors often will ingest socks, underwear. I have a really funny joke about that. Buy me a drink and I'll tell you that story. But I had one client that the dog ended up in the emergency room, and thankfully he was okay. The dog was okay, the client too, because the dog, God, I'm going to date myself. CDs. The dog got into his, we don't even have CDs anymore. The dog got into his CDs and ripped them apart and ate pieces of CD compact discs, for the millennials that don't know what CDs are. And it got stuck in his intestines. It could have shredded his intestines. Very, very serious. So yes, it's annoying, but also can be very, very dangerous for your dog. Now, again, progressive, more pronounced separation anxiety. My cat's trying to get in the window. I have him blocked off. Whoopsies. There you go, Blinksy. You can get in the window. God forbid I should do anything that the cat doesn't like. But it can become, dogs can develop OCDs. Obsessive compulsive things, even self-mutilation, where a lot of hot spots will happen, where the dogs will like pluck the hair off of themselves. Birds, this is very common with birds, are very, oh God, birds are so smart, freaky smart. And yes, they're very prone to OCDs because of that, and separation anxiety, and that's where birds will feather pluck and all of that. Very similar. Dogs will pull out, will bite at themselves, literally. It's so sad. So, and even peeing and pooping can be a symptom of separation anxiety. I've worked with many dogs that will get so nervous when the owner leaves that they'll pee. And unless we address the anxiety angle of it, you can't get rid of it. So that's when being a behaviorist comes into play rather than just being a trainer. I want to see what's causing the behaviors, not just treating the behaviors. I want to see what the disease is, not just treat the symptoms of it. So if the dog is being being destructive, and we punish him, we're just going to make him more anxious. And if we're not getting rid of the anxiety and we punish, say, the barking, then he's going to start barking. If we get rid of the destruction, then he'll start barking. If we get rid of the barking, then he may start pooping. And if we don't get to the root of the problem, which is the anxiety, then ultimately you get the dogs that become self-mutilating because they can't do anything else. So a lot of times what people will do is the dog is destroying the house. Say they're ripping things apart in the house. So then they put them in the backyard. Well, we haven't gotten rid of the anxiety issue. So now they're ripping apart stuff in the backyard. So then people will make a cement run for them. So they cage them in with cement. So there's nothing that they can destroy. Some dogs will chew on the cement bars and they'll actually wear down their teeth and have abrasions and so forth. Dogs that don't start doing that may start barking because, again, we haven't gotten rid of the anxiety, but they can't chew anything to alleviate that anxiety. So now they're going to start barking. So then people put a shock collar on them. So they're not going to bark anymore. Some dogs will bark through the shock collar. But if that does stop them, they're not going to bark anymore. They can't chew, but they're still anxious. So that's when they start to self-mutilate, where they'll start to chew on themselves and they'll lick to help soothe that anxiety. So again, we don't even want to go down that slippery slope. Let's just get rid of the root cause, which is the anxiety. Now, here's the other caveat to that is sometimes dogs destroy things in your absence because they're just bored. So is it separation anxiety or separation boredom? We don't know because they're the only ones that know and they're not telling us. I wish they would. So, but the good news is that the solution is the same. So when you have to leave your dog, you have to give them something to do. Your dog is not just going to sit and stare at the wall. And especially puppies, rescue dogs that are new to you, they're not just naturally going to know what to do. We have to teach them. And yes, your last dog probably knew what to do because he was older, so he wouldn't destroy things and get bored in your absence. But your new puppy or your 7-month-old rescue dog, he doesn't know that. So we have to teach them. So leaving them plenty of things to do is important, and practicing this before you have to leave them, because a lot of these quote unquote pandemic puppies, I like to call them COVID cuties, that's all they know is you being home, you working from home, you not having a life, you not going anyplace. They're used to you being home. So when you do have to leave to go to the grocery store, or you do have to go back to work, or whatever your life getting back to normal means, I don't even know what normal is anymore. Well, I never knew what normal was. We have to teach them to get ready for that. So practicing leaving before you have to leave for 8 hours, leave for 5-10 minutes at a time, get them used to it. And there's different strategies that we can take along those lines, but the most important strategy is what I wanted to share with you today, and that is how to redirect and reward them for you being gone. So when you have to leave, you want to give them something extra special that they only get when you're gone. So that would be some extra special treats, an extra special toy. And we want to think of it as, you know, like if you're leaving your teenager alone and that's the only time they get to play Halo, then they're like, yeah, leave. Don't you have someplace to be? Hit the door. So we want to do the same thing with the dog. So what is the dog equivalent of Xbox? Well, you've heard me talk about this ad nauseum, and it'll be my dying breath. And you all know what the Kongs are. There's different hairs on them. There's different brands on the market. I love the Kong. They're the originator. They're very durable. They're very sturdy. There are different designs that they come in. So you can experiment honestly with what is going to work best for you and your dog. And they're color coded. You all know the difference in the colors. The color codedness, is that a word? Depending on the softness. So the purple is for senior dogs. It's softer than the red ones. And then the red ones are softer than the black ones. So depending on your dog's chew strength and how they're going to get through it, what your dog's preference is basically is how you pick out the color. But no matter what the color, what you do is you guys all know how to stuff these. You put food in there. Oops, that one's for you, Iggy. Iggy's right here waiting. Where's my Igland? There he is. He's like, hey, give me some of that. So you just put the kibble in there. The kibble is always the base because we don't want to make your dog fat. We don't want to blow out their pancreas, given a whole bunch of treats. So the base is the kibble, and you could just give them that. But for separation anxiety, we want to kick it up a notch. We really want to zhuzh it up and give them something they don't ordinarily get. So maybe that's some canned food. You know, if your dog only gets dry, maybe throw some canned food on top of it, smush it in there. So your dog is like, yeah, I love it when you're going. That's when I get me some canned food. You can take, you know, the freeze-dried raw food. That's pretty easy. You can smash some of that in there with it. You can even take some real chicken. If you're already struggling with some separation anxiety issues, you can put something absolutely fabulous in there, like some real chicken or some freeze-dried liver or something really, really, see his little nose, something really, really amazing. So one, your dog is like, yes, please leave. That's when I get chicken. That's when I get canned food. That's when I get the good stuff. Also, not only are you rewarding your dog for you leaving, here, you can have it. How to drive your dog crazy. So not only are you rewarding your dog for you leaving, you're redirecting them. So now he's busy working on his calm. So he's not pacing around, perseverating, going, oh my gosh, she's leaving. What's going to happen? She's getting her shoes. She's putting on some lipstick. That means she's leaving. Oh my God, my life is ending. He's thinking about getting the chicken out of his calm. So redirecting and rewarding him into something is a crucial, crucial step to, again, preventing the separation anxiety. So they never care about you leaving. I know that's sad to say. Of course, they're going to care that you're leaving, but I'll give you one too, Rudy. Poor Rudy sitting there. Is going to reward them for you being gone, but it's also keeping them busy. So my dogs are over here working those Kongs. So if I left, they'd be like, yeah, see you, sucker. Don't care so much. So rewarding and redirecting. Now, if you're going to be gone like 8 hours at work, you're going to be gone, whatever, having a life, how dare you? If you're going to be gone for a longer period of time, leave them 2 or 3 Kongs. You know, leave them several things to keep them busy. Now, if you have multiple dogs like I do, leave enough for everybody. Of course, the caveat to this is making sure that they're not possessive about their toys and they're not going to get in a fight. That's something that you would train for before. That's a whole nother video. Let me put it that way. So that's something that you would be working on so that you can leave them. I mean, just literally littering the place with toys. So if they finish one, they're going to go to the other one. And yeah, leaving a toy is great, but if you put food in it, that makes it so much better. Imagine if I took this and gave this to you and I'm like, here, play with this. You'd be like, seriously, Sid, what? No, thank you. But if I took this and I stuffed it with $100 bills, you know, or different types of bills, ones, 50s, 20s, a couple of hundreds, you'd be in there pulling those dollar bills out. I guarantee you. So we all have our price and so does your dog. So if you fill it with pennies or $1 bills, you'd be like, don't care. Same thing with your dog. If you filled it with just kibble, you'd be like, don't really care. But if you filled it with kibble and chicken, that might get your dog's attention. If you filled it with kibble and some really good canned food, you know, so again, if I filled this with $1 bills, you wouldn't care. But if I filled it with $100 bills, that might pique your interest a little bit. Okay. The same thing with your dog. And when it comes to the Kong or, you know, stuffing other toys with food, we're very defeatist about it. You know, I can't tell you how many times I hear, oh, I put a biscuit in and the dog got it out and then he wasn't interested anymore. So experiment. Try different things that's going to keep your dog's interest. And so eventually, even when there's no food in it, they're going to pick it up and start playing with it because now they have that positive association. Oh, I love my Kong. Food comes in. This is fabulous. That's what we're going for. But you got to start somewhere. Put the food in it. Leave for short trips, come back, make it longer, but you always want to reward and redirect them for you being gone. So crucial. So it's crucial to get over separation anxiety. It's crucial to prevent it. And it's also crucial if your dog has separation boredom. So again, remember, you've got a puppy, a young dog. They're not just going to lay there. They're not just going to sit there and stare at the wall. Give them something to do. And yeah, the more you practice this, the more they mature, the more they get it, then eventually you don't have to leave them stuffed things. You just walk out the door and they're like, see ya, whatever, you know. But this is how we work up to it. And remember, when it comes to separation anxiety, you are dealing with fear, which is the biggest motivator for all species, us included. It's survival. And why do dogs get separation anxiety? It's a survival instinct. They're pack animals. If they're separated from their pack, they're going to die. It's the same thing with us. We're pack animals too. Our survival depends on our tribe, our community. Oops, sorry, I bonked the dog in the head with gong. That's why, solitary confinement is cruel and unusual punishment. So in the wild, it's hardwired into pack animals to be with their pack. Because again, if they're isolated, they're going to die. Yes, rare instances, wolves do survive on their own, etc. But it's a lot more difficult, to be sure. So, so you're dealing with a very, very serious fear-based issue. And again, fear is the biggest motivator. So we can't come at it from a punishment standpoint. I don't like to use punishment standpoint for anything, but if we come at this with a punishment standpoint, you're just going to increase the anxiety, because they're going to be even more afraid. So if you come home and your dog destroyed the couch, and then you grab it and you yell at it and you hit it, it's going to be even more anxious, if that makes sense. So we want to come at this at an angle from rewarding them for you being gone and redirecting, keeping them busy, so they're almost happy when you leave them. That's what we want. Okay. You have questions, let me know. Let me just check here real quick if anybody has any questions. Perfect. Perfect. So, so if you do have questions, you know how to reach me. Drop me a comment. Again, I will leave these up on my Facebook page for a while. So if you haven't had a chance to catch it live, you can catch the replay. And please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And for those of you that are part of my Zen Dog program, my Divine Canine program, I will be putting those in the digital portion of those courses. I'm holding the Kong and the dog is like chewing on it. He just comes up with our shoes. So silly. So the video is going to live in those programs. So if you weren't able to catch it, you weren't able to catch it on Facebook, you can always rewatch it there. And then if you have questions about anything, go to my website, thedogsetc.com. If you want more information about where to start training with your dog, okay, off you go. You can even book a call with me and we can chat about your dog, what your next steps are, and get you started making your dog into truly your best friend. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit. I hope you learned something. Let me know what you think. And next Friday, I will be doing another live stream here. What are we doing next week, Rudy? Redirect and reward, not just for separation anxiety, for a multitude of behavior issues that you have with your dog. How to redirect and how to reward what you want them to do so they're not doing what you don't want them to do. The easiest way to get rid of a bad habit is to replace it with a good habit. So anyway, happy Friday. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Those of you that are in my classes, starting classes, in-person group classes tomorrow, and my Urban Canine in-person group class is starting day after tomorrow, Sunday. So if you're signed up for those classes, yay, look forward to seeing you. They are unfortunately or fortunately completely booked. Everybody's, everything is sold out. I don't have any more space. So my next one is going to be starting the end. Rudy, your tail is just going to knock everything off. Now I know why they docked you with tails. Anyway, we'll be starting up again next month. So I will, if I don't see you tomorrow, I'll see you next month. See you around, and have a wonderful Friday. Take care now. Bye-bye. Go play with your dog. Go play. Go stuff a con. Bye.